let's get into those surefire round one picks, because I had kind of listed, and again, I'll make this clear, and I've said it on the show, we're gonna get deeper and deeper into this class, but Aaron's looked at some of these guys a lot more than I have, and I kind of had a top, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 that in a super flex rookie only draft I felt pretty confident should go in the first round. Probably like, unless something hugely surprising happens, but I've almost ruled out that happening. Like, based on what we know, these guys will be drafted high enough to be drafted in the first round of a super flex rookie draft. You mentioned Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, Jayden Daniels. That gives you 3 quarterbacks. Yeah. We've got 4 position players, 3 wide receivers and a tight end: Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers, and Rome. Dunze. Yes, there we go. And is there anybody I'm leaving off that list?
I think Troy Franklin is the other surefire one where, there's 5 or 6 here that, depending on how the running back situation shakes out, like I said, they could push them up or down. But I think Troy Franklin's really the only one where I would say, no matter what, he's going in the first round as well.
Now, that's a follow-up question. Then I kind of want to get into each of these guys. You mentioned that the running backs are all kind of going in round 2.
Yeah.
I find it really unlikely that by the time we get to May and we have landing spots, that we won't have at least a couple of running backs that end up in round 1. Like, there's going to be people who take running backs in round 1, right?
Absolutely. Like I said, the group, I think we discussed this in the show sheet. We had Corum, Braylon Allen, Trey Benson, Jonathan Brooks, and Will Shipley as the top 5. I even included Bucky Irvin. 1 or 2 of them, like we said, are going to get capital, or they're going to get a wonderful landing spot. They're probably going to sneak into the 110 to 112 range. And then the other 3 or 4 are going to be grouped in the middle of the second round. So, yep, it's very likely that, someone's going to get that great landing spot and we're going to overdraft it.
So now we look at those 3 quarterbacks at the top, assuming that, like what generally happens, Jayden Daniels, the guy we're thinking might be an early first round pick, ends up like let's say we go quarterback in the NFL draft. We're going quarterback in the super flex draft, I think, also, unless Marvin Harrison sneaks into that top 3, right?
I am for sure going quarterback with Daniels. Drake Maye, I don't love as much.
Right.
Having said that, it seems to be 50-50. A lot of the leagues I've seen, Marvin Harrison's gone 1. Some people just don't care. And I know the argument was last year we had Bijan. He was a generational, so everyone took him over the quarterbacks. And the year before, everyone took Breece Hall as the 101. But the year before, what was the best quarterback? We had Malik Willis, who nobody really cared for. So it was all right there. But last year, if I went back and gave you the option to take the generational Bijan or take CJ Stroud or Richardson, wouldn't you much rather have CJ Stroud or Richardson right now? So I don't think you can take Marvin Harrison 101. It has to be quarterback, like you said.
Well, that's what I wonder is what if we see Jayden Daniels with Ben Johnson? Does he have any chance of becoming the 101?
I don't think so. I love that. I love where you're at with that, but I just think Caleb Williams is as close to can't miss. I think he's, it seems to me like it's a large gap. It's Caleb Williams, then a big gap to Daniels in May.
Okay. So you have the 101 and you have 3 stud quarterbacks. You're trading down, you're drafting Caleb Williams, or in that case, you might be okay with Harrison.
No, I'm trading down. I can't take Harrison. I have a friend who has the 101 and he's dead set on Marvin Harrison Jr. And I trade down. Like, he needs running backs. Trade down, get a later first round pick and acquire some form of veteran running back, a usable running back that you're not going to get in this draft. So, yeah.
Okay. I want to, before we move on to these wide receivers and kind of get into them, the lack of love for Drake Maye. What's your concern, and what do you see as a most likely outcome in terms of, it could be stylistically or it could just be value wise? Where do you think he ends up as an NFL quarterback?
It's tough to say. I'm not down on him. I just think there's a considerable gap between him and Williams. He has some inconsistencies with footwork. He's got, and I'm the Sam Howell guy, but people are going to hate this. He's got some Sam Howell in him, and it's not the helmet scouting. He loves to take chances. He's a gunslinger. So I think unless he reins it in, he's got a lot of Sam Howell in his outcome here.
Okay, so we've got 3 wide receivers on this list, and I guess you would add a fourth.
Yeah.
Is there a tier break within them? Is there a big gap between Harris and everyone else, or how would you tier? Let's say the top 4. We'll go ahead and include that one more as well.
I would say it's not a huge tier between Marvin Harrison Jr. and Neighbors, but a slight drop. And then those two are the top tier, and then it's Adunze and Franklin for me, considerably lower.
So if you had that first pick, you'd be okay trading down to 3 and maybe even 4, depending on where Daniels lands. Just want to make sure, like, if you have the 101 and you're trading down, I want to make sure I'm getting Marvin Harrison or Malik Neighbors, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go down a few picks. If I think these quarterbacks are going to fly off the board, which they should, let somebody else take Brock Bowers. Maybe you could even go down a pick later than that. Give me Neighbors and a pick, or if I needed the running back, Neighbors and a veteran running back. I could even be convinced if I had to go down as far as Adunze and Franklin. I don't mind it.
I want to stay with Marvin Harrison for just a second because I think I haven't got to the point yet where I'm sliding these rookies into my actual position rankings or trade charts, but that's kind of the way that I like to go about valuing the 101 or the 102 or the 103 is first figure out who I think those should be, and then figure out where those guys are going to rank within my positional rankings. I think there's 3 guys I would have a really hard time right now as things stand ranking Harrison over. Obviously, that'd be Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb in some order. Just because we've not seen anything in the NFL from Harrison yet. He's a surefire, can't miss prospect. He's going to be a great wide receiver, but we still, there's a couple of things that we need to see. So is number 4 too high to rank him? Let's just assume that the most likely thing to me at this very moment seems to be that he's going to be in Arizona with Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I think it's too high. I know then this is why I like to trade down, or even if you can, I've even said trade him for a veteran receiver. Like I would rather have, if you give me Amon-Ra St. Brown straight for Marvin Harrison, I would take it. I'd rather that, the bird in the hand is better than 2 in the bush. Give me that one. There's a handful. I don't think I have him in my top 6. I haven't really gotten that far into it. I'd like to see some of the Senior Bowl and the Combine and even the draft before I really mix them in with the veterans, but I can't see him being in my top 6. I think I'd take AJ Brown.
Yeah, I think we will be probably similar in that then. Like I was looking at it and thinking he'd probably be somewhere in the 7 to 10 range. I mean, we've got a lot of elite wide receivers. Now, some of them have been rookies the last couple of years and haven't quite shown us the same upside. But yeah, I think somewhere in that 7 to 10 range. Neighbors not that far behind, right? Probably a top 12 dynasty wide receiver. And then we've got kind of Adunze is going to be a top 24 type guy.
Yeah, depending on landing spot. But I think Neighbors is borderline, 1-2 for me. And then Adunze is somewhere. Yeah, like you said, 20-ish off the top of my head.
And then I know, right, nobody's holding you to this. Yeah. Nobody, hopefully nobody's doing a rookie draft tomorrow. So we just kind of want to get a glance at what these guys, obviously Brock Bowers is an incredible specimen. And he's going to be drafted in the first round of rookie drafts. I think it's we might as well compare him to the guy we already referenced. You'd rather have him than Kyle Pitts?
That's an ugly question. Why you got to go there, Heath? Do I want Kyle Pitts or Kyle Pitts 2.0? Give me Kyle Pitts 2.0. At least maybe there's the chance that we beat the odds there on Bowers. So yeah, give me Bowers.
You mentioned Troy Franklin as the other guy that you would add into this group. So he's considerably closer to Adunze for you than any other wide receiver in this class.
Yeah, even him. I think Adunze is solidly by himself, and then there's a drop to Franklin. It seems like that Franklin group after that, what do we have? Adonai Mitchell, Brian Thomas Jr., Xavier Worthy. There's a whole bunch of them where they have the same prospect. Big, fast guys, great deep ball threats. They all say the same thing: limited route tree, inconsistent routes.
Right.
They all seem to have the same strong suits, and then the same flaws. So.